This is Elias, and he's got a huge problem. See, Elias has spent 15 years building what sounds like the most boring business model in the Republic. He finds cheap goods in the East, stuff like silk, pottery, spices, and sells them in the Republic at a margin. For 15 years, he made 600 compasses and a warehouse at Port Crestwall and 9 employees, a client list that trusted him to source things they couldn't find themselves. Elias was very good at this. 2 months ago, the math stopped working, not because he made a bad call, not because his Eastern suppliers ran out of silk, but because 2 councils that had nothing to do with Elias decided to have an argument, and Elias's entire business got caught in the crossfire. So, how this happened? Elias didn't import iron. He just moved luxury products, silk, spices, Eastern pottery to Republic buyers who wanted quality at a fair price. For 15 years, nobody had a problem with this. Then, the Republic passed a 35% tariff on Eastern iron. And the Eastern Island Council did what every trade partner does when they feel like they've been publicly disrespected. They responded with a tariff of their own, 40% on Eastern luxury exports to the Republic. Elias's entire product list. He found out on a Tuesday. His Eastern supplier sent word. Port fees going up a 40% on everything coming through. Elias sat down and did the math. He should have taken a moment before doing that, because him and the math were not good friends. His best silk run, buy bolts in the East at 10 compasses each, sell in the Republic at 15, 5 compass margin per bolt. He moved 50 bolts a season. That's 250 compasses in margin. After the 40% retaliatory tariff, the silk now costs 14 compasses to clear the port. He still sells at 15. 1 compass margin per bolt. But think about that for a second. Elias is loading crates, hiring dock hands, navigating weather delays, managing supplier relationships across 3 islands, running a warehouse, paying 9 employees, sourcing, shipping, and delivering for 1 compass per bolt. That is not a business. That is elaborate exercise. He tried raising prices to 20 compasses. Half his buyers immediately switched to local alternatives. Worse quality, but no tariff markup. Half his client base has gone in 1 season. He tried negotiating with his Eastern suppliers. Could they lower the price to compensate? They had their own cost pressures from the same situation. He tried absorbing the loss himself, just for a few months, until the councils sort this out. 2 months even, the 40 compasses gone. Every option closed the same door. 3 months later, 6 of 9 staff let go, and half the warehouse empty. 600 compasses down to 200. The silk didn't disappear from the Republic. It still arrived at the same quality. Same bolts his buyers had been ordering for years. It just moved through someone on the eastern side of the tariff wall now. A merchant already operating inside the Republic's market, selling directly at higher prices without Elias's import overhead. Elias's margin became their margin. The tariff didn't stop Eastern goods coming in. It just cut the Republic merchant out of the supply chain entirely and handed his profits to someone outside the Republic. Now let's be real about what actually happened here. Retaliatory tariffs aren't random. The Eastern Island Council specifically chose luxury goods because luxury goods are non-essential, easy to swap out or go without. They create discomfort inside the Republic, merchants losing income, clients paying more without hitting anything so critical that the Republic has to respond immediately. It was a surgical strike on Elias's industry. He was not the target, he was the terrain. When 2 armies have a disagreement, the farmers in the field between them don't get a vote. They just get the aftermath. China's 2018 retaliatory tariffs specifically targeted American goods from politically sensitive states. The list was not random. It was engineered for maximum domestic pressure in the right places. The 40% tariff doesn't add 40% to the retail price. It adds 40% to the import cost. The importer absorbs the margin compression, passes what they can to consumers, and eats the rest. The U.S. Small Business Administration estimates over 300,000 small businesses import from China. Most have no domestic substitute for their specific product. When the tariff hits, there is no pivot, there is just the math. And the math doesn't care how long you've been building the business. 15 years of supplier relationships, route timing expertise, seasonal pricing knowledge, none of it on a balance sheet, none of it protected when the councils decide to argue. That was 2018. In 2025, both sides stopped pretending there was a ceiling. The United States layered tariff on top of tariff until the total rate on Chinese goods reached 145%. Not 40, not 80, 145%. China responded with 125% on all American goods. Then both sides agreed to a 90-day truce, cutting back to 10%. Sound familiar? Meanwhile, the United States closed the one door that had been keeping small importers alive, the de minimis exemption. For decades, any package worth under $800 entered the country duty-free. No customs, no tariff, just arrived. On May 2nd, 2025, that door closed. Packages from China now face a 30% duty with a minimum fee of $50 per parcel. The number of small packages arriving from China fell 54% within weeks. Dragon Glassware, 4 employees, $5 million a year in revenue, called it a doomsday scenario for small businesses. Sarah Wells Bags paid $15,000 unexpectedly to release a single shipment from customs. One shipment, Wild Rye, a women's outdoor apparel startup, stopped all production. More than 97% of U.S. companies that import goods are small businesses. The total annual tariff cost on small businesses reached $200 billion. That is not a rounding error, and China's retaliation, same as in 2018, was not random. Soybeans from Iowa, pork from Wisconsin, chicken from Ohio, products from the states that voted for the administration that started the argument. U.S. soybean exports to China fell 72% in a single year. Walmart did something the small businesses couldn't even dream of. They used their size to push the tariff cost back onto their suppliers. Walmart goes to a factory in Vietnam or China and tells them straight up, eat the tariff or we walk. And the factory eats it because losing Walmart's order book would shut their entire operation down. That's the kind of leverage that comes from being one of the biggest buyers on the planet. Sarah Wells, the woman with the breast pump bags, has 4 employees and a credit card. She doesn't get to negotiate with anyone. Same tariff. 2 completely different outcomes. The big guys make a phone call, the small guys close. The video for educational purposes only. Don't sue Elias.